Well, joining us now in the studio is Ambassador Ido Aharoni, who served as Israel's Consul General in New York from 2010 until just last year. Today, the former ambassador serves as Global Distinguished Professor at New York University School of International Relations and is a member of the International Advisory Council of APCO Worldwide. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's talk about, the main news today. In your opinion, is it the right move for the United States to be freezing funds to the UN's Refugee Agency for Palestinians?
Well, the UN Refugee Agency has a very long history. You just heard Prime Minister Netanyahu talking about fictitious institutions and fictitious scenarios that this agency over the years built. But the issue really is much bigger than UNRWA, which is the UN Refugee Agency. It's the United Nations in general.
Right.
When the United Nations was founded in 1945, it was founded by 55 nations that had a positive, optimistic outlook. They were traumatized by World War II. Today, you have 193 members. The UN Charter was hijacked by a body that 2/3 of its members are tyrannies and non-democracies, autocratic regimes. The United States is not getting its fair share at the UN. Israel is being treated extremely unfairly at the UN over the years. It didn't start yesterday. It's been going on for decades. And I think that President Trump is right, scrutinizing the UN, and I think the way to do it is to start with the budget. And if he indeed, which we've heard it's not verified that indeed the State Department made that decision, but if he indeed made that decision, I think that's the right thing to do in order to look at the way the funds are being spent. The United Nations created a monstrous bureaucracy that is largely dysfunctional.
Now, cutting funds to the Palestinian Authority could lead to a humanitarian crisis. Is Israel and should Israel be on board with this move? Would that crisis be something that Israel could deal with or would want to deal with?
Obviously, no Israeli government is interested in inflicting suffering and misery on the Palestinians. And I think in general, having your neighbor suffer is never a good idea. So I think that we're all for it in terms of taking care of the real refugees, the people that actually need the help. But the reality is that the current situation is that there is a swollen bureaucracy on the ground that serves a propaganda agenda more than actually helping the refugees. Let me just point to our viewers one fact. World War II and its aftermath created a problem of about 22 million refugees, among them 1.2 million Jewish refugees. All the refugees were settled of the 22 million people. The only group of refugees that is still not settled are the Palestinian refugees. And we have to ask ourselves the question, why?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this whole scandal plays out for Israeli public relations as well. Ambassador, you yourself focus a lot of your work on refocusing Israel's reputation on the world map. Can you tell us what one of the main issues that Israel faces when it comes to the PR battle? Israel
became defined by its problems. No place, no institution, no human being would like to be solely defined by his weaknesses, deficiencies, or hardships. So Israel today is in a very bad situation where we are better known than liked. Why is it that people don't like us? When I say like in the Facebook sense of the word, it's because people are unaware of the real value proposition that we're bringing to the table. The real value proposition is in the area of creativity. Israel is unique in the sense...
So how do we realign that focus and kind of shift the focus from the conflict to the positive aspects of what the state is contributing to the world? And we're running out of time, so...
So yeah. I don't believe in trying to hide the conflict or shy away from it. The conflict is part of the reality. The solution conceptually is very simple. You have to broaden the conversation. As long as the conversation is narrow, one-dimensional about Israel's geopolitical hardships, there's nothing in it for me. The fact that people support my policies doesn't mean anything. It cannot predict their behavior. On the other hand, when people are aware of the full value Israel brings to the table, they can create an emotional connection with Israel, and that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that Israel is being viewed through a much broader prism than we have today.
All right, Ambassador Aharoni, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.